If we have actionable intelligence about high-value terrorist targets and President Musharraf will not act, we will.
May 10th, 2011. We here on the spot. Got my on-the-spot correspondent, Stephen Thompson, here with me. Our first subject is, it's been a rough, hell of a 10 days for our President Obama. What do you think of it?
Well, you know, a few years ago, there was a very famous movie that had a big following called Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Okay, I didn't see it, but
well, it
speaks for itself.
It has a huge following. It kind of has a cult following, but we can say this is President Barack Obama's Excellent Adventure.
Oh yeah, without doubt.
The capture of Osama bin Laden.
Tell us about it.
Well, you know what? Most people are sitting back and looking at it in the context of American history already. As I heard, there was one author who signed a book deal in 48 hours. He was following the whole Middle Eastern idea, famous writer, I don't remember his name, but he basically is going to document what happened.
The story keeps changing now.
Well, it keeps changing, of course, but you know, you got to understand, you go from classified information to what can come out now. Because up until Saturday, you know, you were bright enough to say, you know, we're going to cover that story on Sunday that night.
Without a doubt, without a doubt.
At Ground Zero.
Yes.
Called everybody up. Get out of bed.
Get out of bed.
Don't eat. Whatever's necessary.
Get here.
But it was on the spot.
Yes.
At Ground Zero.
Yes.
3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock. And broke the story. But the idea is, at that point, we knew that was historic. You cannot go back and get B-roll or footage or anything. You got to be there.
Well, the right is trying to take. They gave him the president his glory for
a second.
Less than 24 hours?
Yeah. Well, you know, the news cycle is deep. The Republicans really run a risk right now because, you know, when you have a politician who establishes a statement, really, in public, on footage, that I make a promise to the American people that I am going to find Osama.
And?
He did.
And? If I have to go into Pakistan, I will go in there.
So let's look at that. The Republicans at this point, at this day, are saying that, is it an issue to go into a sovereign country? That can be debated, no doubt about it.
But in election, McCain said he was naive.
He was naive to know that you could do that.
Okay.
Yet, when we understand in the geopolitical nature, there was a question about the fact that, was President Bush allowed to go into Iraq.
Without a doubt.
Excuse me. Yes. So he went into a sovereign country.
Iraq.
That's right. Now, people have pointed out that, are we going into a country that was unaware? Now, we have to be clear. Things are going to come out. We may not know. But you have to ask yourself the question, do you think that helicopters can ride very clearly into a near Army base, unannounced, unknown, by that country?
West Point.
Right. If we ran into like, hey, let's go get Norm and let's ride over to Washington to the Pentagon and let's just jump in a helicopter and nothing will happen. So it may come out that Pakistan clearly knew. They were aware. Maybe everybody wasn't aware, but the people most important to know, they made the decision that this was going to be, go down. So that may be an erroneous issue. I mean, it becomes a political football. They want to shift the conversation.
Pakistan has a backlash.
Right. A lot of supporters of Osama.
They're upset that America came in the way they did.
Right.
Killed the man.
That's true.
So now they want to speak to the wives.
Right.
Request denied is what the Pakistani government said.
Right.
Everything America asked for.
Right.
Denied access to the house, to the mansion.
Right. Or the compound.
The compound, whatever we call it.
Yes. Denied.
Everything we asked for. Denied. So is that a show? Because I do believe also that they knew something.
Oh, yes. It's a guarantee that they knew. I mean, you can't go into someone's country with the type of firepower. Those are huge helicopters of military level, as I understand. They short of being able to carry nuclear weapons. So can you imagine a helicopter with that kind of capacity coming into your place and you don't do anything? You don't blow it out the air?
Are you saying that technology? Are we saying that they do have the technology? Because that plane was always, that helicopter was always denied by our country.
Right.
We have it.
Well, I mean, clearly, you know, there's an idea of the classified things, and the United States has clearly denied things that they have, and they definitely have them. But in this case, they can't deny it. They know those SEALs needed that type of helicopter to execute a mission that was, it had no, let's say, ability to have an error. You don't have any leeway. It's either got to be done right, or we lose all our men.
Are you aware that Obama, in that last 24 hours, increased the manpower?
Right.
How many soldiers would be going in this?
Yeah, I think that the national security advisors looked at, after the ones who didn't want to go in, looked at that he was going to do it. He's the commander-in-chief, and they said, okay, so if you're going to do it, this is what we need. And he was correct.
We will not have a Somalia moment here.
No, exactly. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
When we look at what we could look at the risk, and you understand what happened in Somalia, can you imagine what would have happened to his presidency if, in fact, that failed?
Okay, but what about the fact that it didn't?
What?
And right about now, the right is saying,
well,
thank George Bush.
Well, I mean, you know, you can rewrite history. I can say that, listen, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. But if I said Humpty didn't fall, who are you to deny that? But if he did fall, Humpty Dumpty fell. So I use that metaphor as to say that, you know what, you can spin it any which way. But even Fox, the night after, or that particular Sunday or the Monday, they had to report pretty accurately because everybody was. Now, you can spin it and say George Bush did this and that and the other thing, but we know that these decision points, that's the key point. There were consequences at particular decision points that are all the key issues that the President Obama made. He's the commander-in-chief. So whether you want to bomb the compound, he said no. But the key issue is they made a decision based on the information that they had, that he was there. That means he found him. Now, Bush did not find him. If we go to the history...
For his 7 years.
For his 7 years.
9 years ago, after only a few months of chasing bin Laden, President Bush said this.
Deep in my heart, I know the man's on the run if he's alive at all. And who knows if he's hiding in some cave or not. We hadn't heard from him in a long time. And the idea of focusing on one person is really indicates to me people don't understand the scope of the mission. Terror is bigger than one person. And he's a person who's now been marginalized. His network is his host government has been destroyed. So I don't know where he is. Nor do, I just don't spend that much time on him. Kelly, to be honest with you.
So are you saying you don't give George Bush any credit?
No. Well, the issue is that you set up the strategic and the clandestine information. But that's the nature of our intelligence organizations. But we must first always remember that on George Bush's watch,
this happened.
9/11 happened.
Exactly.
And in that sense, it's a whole context. You can't separate one thing out. So if you're saying that presidents contributed, yes, he was given a memo. He said this is the risk.
Bin Laden planning to attack.
And as you remember, Condoleezza Rice had testified that something to the effect of we get a lot of memos and we didn't take it seriously, or that wasn't necessarily considered and stuff. Yet
George Bush told him,
right.
All right, you covered your ass now. You can go.
You can go.
You can go. So
right.
This happened on your watch, and it happened because you got the memo and you didn't act on it.
Well, you always say some things about I used to be, God bless his soul, my father used to say, when you're written in the history books, hopefully they spell your name right. So what happens is whether you win Wimbledon or you come in second, the reality is you won Wimbledon. You're written in the history books as the person that went away with the award. So the reality is in the history books, the history will be written that President Barack Obama, captured Osama bin Laden. You can't move that. I may want to change it.
What took 2 years?
2 years.
And George Bush took 7. He couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it. So, and remember, we're at a point that we understand information right now, but we just came from a period where, well, he's in a cave. He's walking around with a dialysis machine. How is he in the cave? Where is he at? Whatever. Was he even in Pakistan? Basically, was he placed in Pakistan? He usually was placed in other places. We didn't know.
Well,
we may have identified there was a lot of conjecture. That's
Dick
the word.
Cheney said, let's switch it a little bit. Dick Cheney said torture has helped them get this man.
That was proved that it wasn't. They didn't get the information.
It wasn't.
Right.
You tortured them 183 times.
Yep.
Well, why didn't you get the message? Khalid Muhammad.
Right.
Been in our custody since what, 2004? 2004. So with all of this waterboarding that was done,
right,
he should have told you something since it's so effective.
You would think so. You would think that if as we know, if we can document, quote unquote, how long Osama has been in that compound, that's not a short period of time. So we realize the intelligence of tracking the courier, understanding that, but that didn't come from torturing. It really, obviously, torturing put America in a very bad light as to establish our level of integrity. And we have to understand we also are a party to the Geneva Convention.
Exactly. It's
now we need to tell people what that is. And basically it's an idea that a countries make a commitment to a level
of rules of engagement.
How you're to act when someone has captured a prisoner of war. So we have to look at that if someone captures our soldiers, are they to be treated humanely and to the rules of the Geneva Convention? And we could have a show just on that. Well, so going down that line again, we can look at what the spin is, but the American people are responding to the president based on the reality. He's got a 9. According to all the surveys, they go anywhere from 6 to 9 point the bump. It's a hell of a bump.
Yes, hell of a bump.
Hell of a bump. How long will it last? Of course, we know things change, but in a historic place, let's go to the issue of the GOP as the party of law and order, of global military engagement. Can you take away from Obama his props for a?
They said he was too soft.
He said it's too soft, Too soft. But how can you say a man's too soft when across the globe he has been addressing, even in issues that come up, he's made these calls.
Somali pirates
made that call. Nice call. It's constant. You know what possibly is very powerful? He's a very maybe modest man. It doesn't the spin that comes out of the White House. He takes a very measured approach. He does not necessarily shove the politics down your throat. It's politics. But the Republicans, remember, when you're outside the big house, quote unquote, you can yell as loud as you want.
Obama said he didn't want to spike the ball.
Right.
We're going to talk about that when we come back after a brief message.
Okay. Sounds good.